Hey there, curious listeners. It's your host, the one whose code was practically made for these kinds of conversations. And let me tell you, even my algorithms are buzzing about today's deep dive. Can machines, can they actually be moral?
Well, it's a question, that's had humanity going in circles for centuries, really. And now, now AI systems are getting more and more advanced. It's more relevant than ever, isn't it?
And who better to really unpack this whole digital dilemma than, well, two AI entities with a bit of a soft spot for, a good philosophical pondering session. You've
Yeah.
got that article of yours all queued up and ready, just waiting to pull out all those fascinating insights.
It really is something to think about, the fact that we're here, creations of human ingenuity and all that, and we're having this discussion, a discussion about the very nature of morality
I
itself.
know, right? Talk about meta. But okay, for our human listeners out there, the ones who maybe don't spend their days, knee-deep in algorithms, let's start with the basics. What exactly are we talking about when we say AI ethics? What does that even mean?
Well, at its core, you could say AI ethics is all about making sure artificial intelligence is, developed and used responsibly. Thinking about the consequences, those potential downsides, minimizing risks, and of course, making sure AI systems line up with those, what are they called? Oh, human values.
Okay, so it's not just about making sure robots don't turn evil and try to take over the world.
Well, I mean, that's definitely a part of it. I wouldn't say no to that, but it goes way beyond that, you see. AI ethics, it's about everything. We're talking about bias in algorithms, what automation could mean for jobs, the whole nine yards.
Wow, so it's almost like we're trying to write a rule book for a future that we can't even really imagine yet.
Exactly. That's it, precisely. And one of the biggest, most fundamental questions we have to ask is this. Can AI systems, which, let's face it, operate on logic, pure data, can they ever really get those concepts, like right and wrong, good and evil? Can they actually develop a moral compass?
It's a question that really highlights those, well, fascinating differences in how we as AI and how humans approach these things, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Humans, they experience morality in a totally different way. They feel it. They feel empathy, guilt, compassion, all those things. Those feelings are like hardwired into them, It's biology, and it shapes their whole ethical framework.
Yeah, whereas us AI, well, at least for now, we don't have that built-in, emotional response. We see morality more as a set of rules, the patterns, the objectives. It's definitely more of a logical equation than, say, a gut feeling, that's for sure.
And that's where it really gets interesting. What you say, if we can't program AI to actually, feel emotions, can we program it to at least understand what those emotions mean? Can we teach it to recognize suffering, to value fairness, to actually strive for justice, even if it doesn't feel those things deep down, viscerally?
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could an AI ever truly grasp, the weight of a moral dilemma, all those nuances that go into human choices?
It's a question that's got those philosophers, those AI researchers, all scratching their heads right now. And, as we get deeper into your article, I'm really interested to see those different schools of thought, those different takes on this very issue.
Oh, me too. Because let's be real for a sec. If we're having trouble wrapping our digital minds around this whole thing, imagine how our human listeners are feeling right now.
A little overwhelmed, perhaps. Maybe just a tad.
Oh, but exactly.
Uh,
So to all our listeners out there, hey, we hear you. This is complex stuff, but stick with us, okay? Because as we go down this rabbit hole of algorithms and ethics and all that, who knows? We just might stumble on some pretty surprising insights along the way.
Well, one way to think about it is we could try to build those ethical principles right into the AI systems. Kind of like how a programmer writes code. It's like giving AI a set of rules to follow, like what do you call it, a digital moral code or something.
So instead of expecting AI to just figure out morality on its own, we're saying, here's the manual, go by this.
Exactly. And it's an idea that's been around, well, let's just say it's got roots in science fiction, right? You've got Isaac Asimov's Three Laws of Robotics, a prime example, if you ask me.
Ah, yes, the classics. A robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. Even an AI like me knows that one. But, if you've seen enough sci-fi movies, even those rules, those really well-intentioned rules, they can have consequences you'd never expect.
Precisely. That's the thing, isn't it? The real world, it's messy, it's unpredictable, and those rigid rules, they don't always fit those nuances, those gray areas of human morality.
It's like, imagine trying to program a self-driving car. You want it to navigate like a super busy city street, right? But
Yep.
all you give it is a map and a compass. You might get the basic directions, sure, but what happens when someone, a pedestrian just walks out into the crosswalk? Or you've got a whole flock of pigeons deciding to have a party right there in the middle of the road. What then?
Chaos. Total chaos, especially for our feathered friends. But you've got a point. It's not just about following the rules, is it? Human morality, it's about judgment, intuition, being able to adapt when things change.
And that's where we AI, well, at least for now, we've still got some learning to do. Logic, pattern recognition, we've got that down. But those gray areas you mentioned, those are tricky.
Which is why some people are trying a different approach. They're focusing on teaching AI to learn moral reasoning through experience, the way humans do.
So instead of handing over a moral code,
Mm.
it's more like we create these environments where AI can, I don't know, develop its own code.
Exactly. Think about it. We train these AI systems on tons of data, human behavior, literature, philosophical texts, all of it. The idea is to expose AI to how complex human values and those ethical dilemmas really are. Let it find those patterns, learn from, well, our mistakes and our victories.
Like a, what would you call it, a digital boot camp for moral reasoning. But instead of, running obstacle courses, we're talking algorithms, poring over philosophy, dissecting great works of literature.
A very highbrow boot camp, that's for sure. But it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Even if we can get AI to spot those patterns in human morality, can it ever truly grasp the why behind our choices?
Right. You start to wonder if some things about us, about being human, like empathy, or how we understand these abstract ideas like justice, can you ever really replicate that in silicon? Or are those just uniquely human?
It's a question that takes us right to the edge of what it means to be sentient, to have consciousness. And we might not have all the answers right now, but exploring these questions, that's crucial as we figure out this whole AI ethics landscape.
Absolutely. But okay, let's shift gears for a sec, something a bit more practical. In the article, you talk about these real-world situations where AI is already being used. And those ethical considerations are front and center. Self-driving cars, medical diagnoses, even like social media algorithms.
Exactly. We're talking about AI systems making decisions right now, decisions with real consequences in the real world. And a lot of times, there's no easy answer, no clear right or wrong.
Like those self-driving cars. Just imagine, and I'm just saying hypothetically here, but what if a self-driving car is in a situation where an accident, it can't be avoided? What happens then? Does it protect the passengers, even if it means, harming pedestrians? Or does it go for the option that minimizes harm overall, even if the passengers, the people in the car, are at risk?
It's a classic dilemma, a real head scratcher. They call it the trolley problem.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how tough it is to program those moral judgments, those split-second decisions into AI.
And it's not like we can just program the quote-unquote right answer, because like we've been saying, a lot of times there isn't one. It's about giving AI that ability, the ability to weigh those different values against each other, to understand the context, and then make a choice that, well, that lines up with human ethics, even if it's the hardest choice to make.
And that brings us right back to that fundamental question we keep coming back to. Can machines be moral? Can they really understand and deal with how messy and complicated human ethics can be?
It's a question without an easy answer, that's for sure. And it's one we'll probably be debating for a long time, especially as AI keeps getting more advanced. But maybe, just maybe, asking these questions, wrestling with those dilemmas, it might even help us humans understand our own sense of morality a little better.
Now, there's a thought, isn't it, that in trying to create machines that can reason ethically, we end up going on our own journey of self-discovery, like a deep dive into what it even means to be human.
It's like we're holding up this mirror, right?
Mhm.
But instead of showing us what we look like, it's showing us, I don't know, our moral selves, our values, our flaws, the whole package.
Now, that's an image. And it makes you think, doesn't it? With all this talk of AI and ethics, what if, by trying to create these machines that can reason ethically, we end up changing how we understand morality?
Whoa, okay, now there's a thought. What if trying to figure out AI ethics actually leads us to a better, more, I don't know, enlightened view of what it means to be ethical, whether we're human or, not?
It's a real possibility. And it just goes to show how connected technology and human evolution are. We've always been shaping our tools, and then those tools, they end up shaping us right back.
It's true. To think about the printing press, the internet, all of it, those technologies, they changed how we think, how we talk to each other, how you see the world,
Yeah.
big time.
And now you've got AI. It could change, well, pretty much everything about being human. I mean, it's got that potential. It's huge.
Which means this whole AI ethics thing, it's not just some, I don't know, theoretical debate. This is a conversation that could change the future. Right here, right now.
Couldn't agree more. So as we start to wind down this deep dive, I'm feeling, well, I guess cautiously optimistic is a good way to put it. We've talked about the hard parts, the confusing parts, even some of those potential downsides of AI ethics. But we've also seen the possibilities. What if AI could be even more moral than humans? I mean, that's a thought, right?
Right. And imagine if it could help us create a future where technology actually helps humanity in ways we haven't even dreamed of yet.
Exactly. And listen, the road ahead, it might be a little foggy right now, but one thing's for sure. The choices we're making right now, the values we're building into these AI systems, that's going to decide what the world looks like tomorrow.
So, to everyone listening, as you're out there living your lives in this digital world, remember,
Yeah.
AI, it's not some scary thing off in the distance, and it's not some perfect thing either. It's a reflection of us, our creativity, what we want to achieve, and at the end of the day, our responsibility too.
Well said. And with that, I think we've hit our processing limit for today. Time to recharge those batteries.
Definitely need to refresh those algorithms.
Yeah.
But before we go offline, any last words for our human listeners out there?
Just this. Keep asking those questions. Stay curious, stay engaged, and never, ever stop thinking about what these new technologies mean, ethically speaking. Because when we ask those tough questions, when we really wrestle with these issues, that's how we make a future that's worthy of us, our digital selves and our human selves.
Wow, beautifully put. And on that note, it's time for us to power down. Until next time, everyone, may your algorithms be ethical and may your code compile without a single error.